There's the dating dilemma. This is so important. I've only got a few moments to talk about it. The whole evolutionary scheme rises or falls on the dating. Since we cannot observe any spontaneous life happening, we cannot produce any spontaneous life happening anywhere in our world. In order for it to happen, the way that that's achieved is just say we got millions of years. Millions of years have gone by. But the dating methods they use, carbon-14 dating, radioisotope dating, they're all assuming that the environment is the same today as it was 6,000 years ago. And the Bible says it was radically different. Let me read something to you from Compton's Encyclopedia. N14, or carbon-14, interacts with cosmic rays. Scientists believe that cosmic rays have been bombarding the atmosphere ever since the Earth was formed. They're believing it's constant. While the amount of nitrogen in the atmosphere has remained constant, they're assuming that. They don't know. Consequently, C14, or carbon-14 formation, is thought to occur at a constant rate. Although the current ratio of C14 to other carbon atoms in the atmosphere is known, scientists are not certain that this ratio has been constant. Errors in radiocarbon dating can be caused by inaccurate radiation or particle counts, contamination of a sample with more modern carbon, and stray radiation striking the counter. Using relative dating methods, scientists are able to distinguish which events occurred, but they're not always able to establish exactly when they occurred. You know how most of the dating, the ancient dating, is achieved? You got to listen carefully. They find a fossil within a certain strata at a certain depth in the earth. And they say, because it was found at this depth, it must be this many thousands of years old. Well, how do you know that that depth is that many millions or thousands of years old? Because of the fossils we found there. These are very ancient fossils, and we found them at that depth. That depth must represent a very long time ago. Well, how do you know that that depth is so ancient? Because of the fossils we found there. And how do you know those fossils are so old? Because of how deep we found them. That's what you call circular reasoning. It all depends on, is the radiocarbon-14 dating accurate? They can only assume it's accurate based on what they test in the modern environment. You walk into a room, you see a candle burning, you shut the door, and I say, how long was that candle burning? You'll say, well, let me measure how quickly I see it burn, and that might give me some idea about how long the candle was burning. But I say, no, wait a second. You don't know how tall it was when it started. Furthermore, you don't know if it's burning at the same rate now as it was before you walked in the room. When you walked in the room, you may have changed how much oxygen was in the room. There's so many variables that make it very difficult for you to know with a certainty how quickly that candle has been burning. That's the problem that they've got with the dating methods. If you want to know how old things are, to do real science, you know how good scientists would measure, they would develop their theory. Then they would go back 65 million years and say, sure enough, this is when it started. We have no way to go back in time and test the theory of timing that far back. And so it is nothing but a theory. You're mocked if you're telling people that it's still a theory. National Geographic came out with a magazine. It says, was Darwin right? Before they give any evidence, you open to the page of the article and it says, was Darwin wrong? And the article says, no, evolution is a fact. They haven't even given any evidence. It's being taught as a fact. But when you really think about it, it's not logical, friends. I believe that there's some things we can't explain. Do we have a problem explaining things about God? A little bit. Where did God come from? I don't know. But you ask evolutionists, where did things come from? Well, world came from the sun when it exploded, and it was sent to hurling our solar system out into space. And where did our sun come from? Well, it came from a supernova out there in the universe when a star exploded. Where did that star come from? Well, it came from gas particles that collided. Where did that come from? Well, and eventually, you know what they're going to say? There's a mystery. We don't know where something came from. Now they say the Big Bang, get this, say the Big Bang was all the matter in the universe was somehow compressed to something the size of the head of a pin. How many of you heard that one? It exploded. Where did the pinhead of material come from? Either way, you're going to come to one of two choices. You can believe all the beauty and all the organization and all the wonders and all the inner working design and all the symmetry and all the math and the healing and the symbiotic relationships in the world around us today all came from a pinhead that exploded. Or there is an intelligent God and we don't know where he came from because he is from everlasting to everlasting.